So there's an issue that we've talked about that both of you think is important. That's the issue of crony capitalism. What do you think are some reforms that we can enact to make the government less corrupt?
Crony capitalism, I think, is the result of the fact that the federal government has not only enormous power over the private economy that it shouldn't have, and therefore, when it comes to simple things like getting a permit, building a bridge, there's a guy who's making a modest salary who makes that decision. So people come around, various people who want to get that contract, and they make deals with him, right? This is the deep corruption of our process. The founders had actually a very good solution to it, and that was reduce the power of the federal government to control so much of the economy, to control oil drilling and education and healthcare, and that's going to make it less possible for corrupt people who are in politics to be so corrupt, and it's going to reduce the incentive of people in the private sector who should be competing with each other to compete with politicians like Hillary to put money in their back pocket.
Okay, I love this. So let's break this down. So, first of all, Republicans have a talking point. We're against big government. Okay, great. You're against the giant military, the largest government program we have? No, I love that big government. Okay, great. You're against intruding on a woman's right to choose and get between her and her doctor. No, I love that big government. Well, I love that big government. I love the government so big it's in your ovum. Okay. So why do they do it? So here's the interesting part. Why do they do it? So it isn't because they're concerned about big government. It's because they want lower taxes and less regulation. So that way they can save money. They can save money if they have less safety features in their mine. But your family might die in a mine accident. But they saved a couple of bucks with a talking point about smaller government. And look, any tiniest little change in the tax code gets the rich billions of dollars.
That's right.
Why do you think they do the crony capitalism in the first place? Why do you think they send Dinesh out with his talking points? So that he can convince people, let's go smaller government, by which I mean less taxes for me and less regulation so I can take more risks and do more pollution.
Notice the question was about controlling corruption in the political process, i.e. buying politicians. He didn't have anything to say about that, so he switches and starts talking about mining accidents,
Great.
which are not the subject under discussion.
Great, let's do it. Thank you. So, now you want a real answer. So I'm telling you what the problem is, and I'm telling you how they're trying to mislead you to get the rich even more benefits. By the way, you want to talk about welfare queens. The capital gains tax leads to, there's no reason why it should be lower than the tax that you guys pay. But if you're in the highest bracket, you now pay around 39%. If you have capital gains, you only pay 20%. And they go, that's for everybody. No, it's not. It's actually only 47% of Americans have money in the stock market. That is, it goes to, ironically, the 47% who are welfare queens. And of that, only the 5% gain 2/3 of all the gains from capital gains. You know what that costs us? $51 billion a year. So they are the welfare queens, and now let me explain to you how we're going to stop them. So the way that you stop the legalized bribery and the corruption is you say, hey, the money you are using for that bribery, you cannot give to politicians anymore, you cannot give into the political space anymore, so I'm going to unlegalize bribery. So what you do is you get money out of politics, and I've created an entire organization for this. So, Wolf, by the way, you asked if I'm doing anything about it, it's called Wolf-Pac.com. Get money out of politics and end the corruption. You agree with me, right, brother?
So,
By the way, this is great. This is the guy who got arrested for putting more money into politics.
Yeah, do you agree with this that there is some corruption and bribery in the campaign finance system?
I totally do, and I think that the campaign finance laws exist to get people who are buying favors. Now, people are buying favors all across the political process. And the queen of this is actually Hillary. Now, let's say we pass Cenk's law. You can't bribe politicians by giving them money. Now, the Hillary setup is far too cunning for a guy like this. Hillary's setup is, if you want a deal, don't talk to me, talk to Bill. Bill will come and give a speech for 20 minutes. You pay him $750,000, more than double his normal speaking fee. That's your down payment. Then, without me ever talking to you, I will do what you want. Then you give the Clinton Foundation $33 million. This is what's going on. And this is the politician that he's covering for. While pretending to be the champion of stopping the corruption of the process.
See, he says that, but you didn't watch my shows, did you? I don't cover it for that. In fact, I cover that all the time.
Well, you're covering for it tonight?
No, I'm telling you. I was in the middle of saying about how corrupt the Clinton Foundation is when you interrupted me.
Okay,
So,
let me ask you
exactly my point, guys. So it is. What he's talking about is right. They do. That's why the Bernie Sanders campaign said, you think that Goldman Sachs is paying Hillary Clinton $225,000 for their health? No, they're looking to corrupt her. They did that 3 times, $675,000. Millions upon millions going to Hillary Clinton, going to Bill Clinton. Okay, but Dinesh, yes, they can do that, Dinesh. But if Wolf-Pac wins and we get that constitutional amendment, you're going to have public financing that says, yes, Hillary Clinton, you can have that corruption, but we are going to have an even debate. So you will have X amount of money, and your Republican counterpart will have X amount of money, and we will hear you both out without one of you buying a larger mic.
This is exactly what Hillary says. I call it the stop me before I steal again principle. Hillary says, I would like to be honest, but we are in a dishonest process. And therefore, my dishonesty is simply playing along with the system as it exists now. And so therefore, to propose some hypothetical future rule when we are dealing with the queen of corruption right now, the question I want Cenk to answer, and let's watch him tuck this one, can any progressive in America in good conscience vote for the queen of corruption, Hillary Clinton?
No. Okay. So first of all, here we go with loaded questions. So will you vote for the queen of corruption? I can't tell if that question is loaded. When did you stop beating your wife? That's one of those questions. Although, if you go into your divorce records, all right.
So she's not the queen of corruption. This is what I mean by covering.
Okay.
She's not the queen of corruption.
No. So I'm going to tell you, look, when you get the general election day, and I get a ton of criticism from Democrats for this, general election day is the least relevant day. Primaries are more important. Fixing the system is more important. Getting a constitutional amendment to get money out of politics is more important. But when you give me a person who I think is systemically corrupt and a monster who's racist, bigoted, and has no earthly idea what the economy is about, and might crash the entire global economy, and then if I vote for the person who's systemically corrupt, you go, ha-ha, I got you! No, you didn't get me. You nominated a monster. It's your fault, not my fault. Can I just get him on the record in the same way, but without it being loaded? Are you for getting money out of politics?
I would like to see politics. Look, to me, the problem with
I can see where this is going, but let me
getting money out of politics, I think, is a stupid phrase. Here's why. Hold on.
Because
hold
it likes
on.
money in politics.
Hold on a second. No. That's not the reason. People can get involved in politics in different ways. Let's take 2 guys. One guy who's got a normal job, he works, let's say, 50 hours a week. Another guy who's not working. And they both support opposite candidates. One supports the Republican, one supports the Democrat. Now, the guy who's not working goes, I'll volunteer for 8 hours and will work for my candidate. The guy who has a job goes, I'm going to give 5% of my salary to the candidate I support because I'm working all day. I can't go knock door to doors, but I'm using my money, which is my stored labor, and I'm putting it behind the guy I believe in. Cenk goes, the second guy who's using his money is a corrupt crook. We got to get him out of politics. and leave the unemployed guy who's got all the free time, to me, that's not democracy. That's not democracy.
So that's the way of saying it. Liberals are bums who don't work.
No,
That's
no,
the way.
I-
And then second
I wasn't
is
saying
saying, oh, it's just a plumber giving 5% of his salary. He's working really hard. Ignore the Koch brothers putting $900
Look, you say the Koch brothers, I say Soros. We know about all
I'll
that.
get them both out. Let's get them both out.
Do you agree that we do need reforms in our campaign finance system and that the process is currently corrupt? So we agree on that.